Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you may be viewing this particular broadcast. I think that I'm on. I had a little technical difficulty there with the Wi-Fi, but I believe we're up and running. So if you're on, go ahead. I'm going to give you a few minutes to chime in. This week, we're going to get real. Now, most of us have been kind of locked in with the family and spouses and things of that nature, and it's been a good thing, but then it's been a revealing thing as well. And so I want to deal with some very important, a very relevant and important topic surrounding mental health. And we're going to dispense with any negativity that, in the negative sense, in terms of mental health does not mean that there's something inherently wrong with you, because mental health spans a broad topic. It's a broad topic or conversation that can be had that goes beyond retardation or some sort of mental defect. And so I want to help try to remove the stigma of mental health issues this week. All week long, I'm going to be dealing with certain aspects of mental health and developing strong mental health. All right. So chime on in. It's going to be a doozy. Good morning to you, Brother Willie. I see you, Brother Hugh. Bless you. Thanks for tuning in. Okay. Share. We're going to deal with this issue today. Today is going to be somewhat of an introduction to narcissism. That's a big word, and it has big implications as well. And the strangest thing is that many of us are dealing with people who personifies this particular aspect of personality. And we're going to talk about it a little more in detail in just a minute. But it is a very, not only relevant topic, but is a prevalent issue, because many of us oftentimes have dealt with someone who exhibited this sort of behavior and this sort of mental attitude of narcissism. It's a self-grandizing, it's a self-efficating, self-building, and if we're not careful, we tend to normalize this sort of behavior as though they're just like that, or that's just the way he is, or that's just the way she is, and we contend with it. We accept it as normal, and yet those that have what I would call a lesser or a less prominent personality. You're more subdued. You're a little more empathetic. You're a little more, shall we say, introverted. An introvert is not a person that's quiet. Please don't understand. An introvert versus an extrovert, they're not necessarily as we think they are. Because many times we think the individual that's verbose and talkative. Good morning, Carolyn. We think the person that's verbose and talkative and seemingly very confident. They come across very confident. We think that extrovert is really a strong personality, a strong individual, while on the other side of the spectrum, you've got the introvert who's not very talkative, not very public. They enjoy their private life. They enjoy solitude. That doesn't mean that they're weak. It doesn't mean that they don't know what's going on and that they can be run over. Because remember the old saying that still waters run deep. So just because they're not the loudest person in the room doesn't mean that they don't have anything to contribute to the conversation. An introvert is just as impacting as an extrovert. It's just an extrovert. It says, like the word says, it's external. They want to be the life of the party. They gain their sense of strength by the number of people that are around them. You might be dealing with an extrovert right now, because an extrovert tends to be the one that likes a lot of people around. They like things happening all the time. Anything, whenever it's quiet or quiet time tends to be to them. Sometimes it's actually, for them, it's more nerve-wracking to be quiet than it is to have a lot of things going on, music and playing in the background, television show going. They're the type that has the radio on, the television on, and reading the book and having a conversation on the phone all at the same time, because they have an extroverted type of personality. They gain that sense of assurance, self-assurance, by the number of people that are around them. And then the introvert is the total opposite. They gain their sense of strength and fortitude by quiet time, individual time. They like being alone. They have no problem being by themselves. An extrovert does not want to ever be alone, but an introvert finds that alone time, that quiet time, as fulfilling and refueling. They get, for an introvert to be in a crowded place is very draining. Doesn't mean they can't function within that crowd. They can't function within that group. It just simply means, as an introvert, they prefer solitude, because that's where they have the opportunity to think and to reflect. Extrovert, on the other hand, tends to be a little more flighty. They're quick to speak, very, and this is not a criticism of either personality trait, but I want you to recognize what they are, because oftentimes we are our own worst critic, because we criticize ourselves, or we don't think highly of ourselves because we exert this particular type of temperament type or personality type. I wish I was more outspoken, or I wish I was less outspoken, or I wish I was as intelligent as that individual. And we're never satisfied with who we are, because we compare ourselves with ourselves. And that's not wise. The best thing for you to do is to study yourself so that you can become the best version of yourself. Never use someone else's success or failure to be the determining factor as to whether or not you will succeed. You can do exactly anything and everything that's tantamount to your personality, that's tantamount to your destiny. Everything for your destiny is already in. Welcome, folks. Come on in. I see you guys coming in. Share as you're coming in, and do that for me. And I'm going to get into a topic this week, all week long. I'm going to deal with the mental health. We're going to deal with mental health. And again, this is not to say that you are crazy. This is not to make you feel as though something's wrong with you. No, and if anything, I'm going to expose to you how uniquely you are made, how fearfully and wonderful you are just being yourself. Because oftentimes we try to live up to other people's expectation. We try to, to embody what we think people will like. I comb my hair a certain way. I wear a certain style of clothes. If I don't have a Chanel bag or a Louis Vuitton tote bag, then I'm nobody because everybody around me has one. No. That doesn't mean that you are the oddball. It just simply means, again, that you have your own unique personality, disposition, and you require something different than others. There's nothing wrong. What do you know? This is one of the biggest things that we have to face up to, as particularly here in America, because we are so blessed. We are so prosperous. God has blessed us so abundantly here in America, till sometimes we don't appreciate what we have, because we're always reaching for more. We're never satisfied. We are never content. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't be ambitious and that we shouldn't have goals, but we should be able to enjoy the place and the space that we're in right now. That we should be able to appreciate the fact that I am what I am right now. And when you can bring yourself to that place where you're accepting you for who you are without comparing yourself to someone else, then you're on your way to a healthy mental and emotional disposition. And now I'm a pastor, I'm a preacher, but at the same time, I need to recognize and help you to recognize that not everything that you experience in life is some sort of diabolical demonic plot. Sometimes it's just the fact that we don't know who we are as an individual. Now, before I get into this, I want to, again, refer you to a book that I read years ago. It's a very, very, very good book, and it's called Please Understand Me. Write that down. When you get a chance, download it, go buy it. I'm telling you right now, it will help you to understand more of why you are the way you are. Your personality and your temperament are two different things. You gain your temperament from your DNA. That's why you have the eyes of your grandfather, or the fiery temper as your mother, or great uncle or something, because it's passed on through the DNA. Your personality is what you have developed as a result of matriculating through life. From high school, from it really starts actually almost in the cradle. Your personality is being formed even in the crib, because as we grow, we start learning how to associate with one another, how to gain respect or how to gain popularity. You know how everything. Not right now. Here's a prime example. If I were to ask you to name something that happened to you that impacted your life for the rest of your life, I would wager that whatever that was happened when you were either a young child or somewhere in your teens, because that's where we start developing our personality. Because if I'm funny, people will like me. So you go on to be the life of the party. You always want to have the funniest jokes. You want to always have the antidote for, whatever the environment is, because you've learned that people like people who make them laugh. And so you go on to do that. But that's personality. Now, that might not be your temperament. I wonder if you've ever met someone on the outside. Maybe you saw them at an event and they were the life of the party. And so that drew you to them. That caught your attention. And so you develop a conversation and a relationship with that individual, only to discover that they are not as affable, they're not as outgoing as they were at the party when you met them in their private. Their private life is not necessarily the same as their public personification, who they are in public, who we perceive them to be in public, because they have learned how to adapt so that they could be more socially accepted. That's personality. Now, temperament is the one you meet. The temperament is the one you meet perhaps after you started that relationship. Maybe have you ever met anyone who was like, I love how outspoken she is. And only to discover that there's a flip side to that. That was the public personification. That's that public personality. But when you started getting into a relationship and you started digging deeper and doing a deeper dive into their personality and developing a relationship, you discovered that is not even the person that you met. Consequently, that's why divorces happen at such a high rate, because we meet one person in public, and then as we develop that relationship, we discover another one in private. And so we're baffled by, wait a minute, this is not the same person I met 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or last year, because they displayed a certain disposition or personality in public, while all the while they are a different personality in private. That's basically you're trying to adapt to the public personification so that you can be more widely accepted. So that's personality. I might be talkative. Many think that maybe that they think that I'm quiet. In most cases, I am. I'm somewhat an introvert. I like my solitude. I gain I get recharged by being alone. I like being by myself because it gives me time to think. Hey, Barbara, good to see you. Bro, Walt, bless you, sir. Hey, Glenn, I see you there. Thanks for tuning in. So as an introvert, mostly, I would say 60, maybe 65%, 75% introvert. I love being with me. Now, I married an individual who has a little more extrovert personality. She likes gathering people around and being in a crowd and enjoy the life of the party, always giving, always preferring and taking care of people. Love to have people around, and that's wonderful. That's a great and admirable personality trait. But we had to learn how these two different personalities can get along in the same space. Because while I like my privacy and I like being alone sometimes, I enjoy being alone because that's where I do my best thinking. That's where I get my creative ideas. And then my wife loves being in public. Now, she has introverted personality traits too. She's not 100% extrovert, but she's more so than I am. So she loves the crowd. She gains her energy. She gets more excited when she has an opportunity to be around a crowd of people. And so this week, I want to help you study. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to bring some excerpts from the book. I was just looking around to see if I had it on hand and if I could pull it up real quickly, but I don't have it next to me. But this week, I'll give you some excerpts from the book, Please Understand Me by Myers and Briggs. You will be tremendously blessed. You will be tremendously helped because then you won't be frustrated with yourself. Wow, what an eye-opener this book was. Another book by Dr. Chapman is called The 5 Love Languages, where it breaks down the different personality traits. As a pastor, I believe this should be required reading for every person that is a part of the leadership team, whether it's in a ministry, whether it's in your business, because you need to understand who it is you're dealing with at the core. Not the one you meet in the beginning, because we're all, we put our best foot forward when we're out for the first time. We've got this mask of perfection, this mask of I've got it all together when we meet for the first time, because that's human nature. We all do it. I do it. You do it. We all do it. But what I'm saying is when you discover your personality trait, that I'm talking about temperament rather, not your personality, but your temperament, what's in your DNA, then you'll understand why it is that you maybe fire off. You got that hot sauce temperament. That one word will set you off and you just blah, and then maybe the flip side of that temperament, one word and you kind of cowl back and you kind of, well, if you don't want to hear what I've got to say, then I've got no problems with saying nothing. I'll just be quiet. So helping you to understand this and develop an appreciation for the various personality types, then it will help you once again to understand yourself. And then once you understand yourself, you will appreciate who you are. Now, that's not to say that you're perfect. It just means you know who you are at the core. And understanding who you are at the core, then you can go on to manage that personality or that temperament type. You get what I'm saying? So once again, once you discover your basic temperament type, then you can go on to manage it. Maybe I talk too much. Maybe I don't speak up enough. How many of you have ever missed out and found out that you missed out on an opportunity simply because you didn't speak up? Maybe if you're in a group meeting, you've got a good idea, but you say that you're shy and you're withdrawn and you're hearing everybody's idea, and you're thinking to yourself, I got the right idea. None of those ideas will work, but what I'm thinking right now will work. But you're too bashful. You're too timid, too slow to speak. And consequently, they go with their bad decision. They go with the bad ideas to the neglect of the good one that you had. But you didn't speak up because you're more withdrawn. You have to develop. There's a difference between being wise, because even scripture says a fool is counted as wise when he limits the words that he speaks. So I'm not saying that you need to start talking all the time, but I am saying, again, it is something that you have to learn how to manage. In doing so, I believe you will be benefited. You'll be more well equipped to deal with various personalities in your own life, or in your ministry, in your business, in your marriage, in your family, because no two of your children are the same. So today I'm going to do a bit of an introduction to the issue of narcissism. And this is a big one because I've had to deal with this for a number of years through different people. And let me just give you a very basic definition as to what I believe narcissism is. First of all, when I say narcissism, I'm talking about at a level of disorder. It's out of order. And here's a definition here. It says a narcissistic personality disorder involves a pattern of self-centered, arrogant thinking and behavior. Have you ever met anybody like that? Who's self-centered, that they're incapable of seeing you because they're busy focused on themselves. We call it selfish, but it's part of the narcissistic personality disorder. Now, I'm saying this to you not so you can point the finger at different people, but so that you can recognize it for what it is. Maybe it's in your own life. Maybe it's something you need to work on. And you need to be honest with yourself. Shakespeare said it best when he says, "To thine own self be true." If you're going to lie, and I don't advocate lying at any time, but if you're going to lie, don't lie to yourself. Be honest with yourself. You can lie to everybody else and give them a false impression of who you are, but don't lie to yourself. That's the most self-defeating, self-incriminating thing that you can do to yourself. And so while you're working on, if some of these attributes seems to show up in your life, then I'm saying to you, I'm not criticizing you. I'm not condemning you. I am saying there's need that a management has to take place. You have to learn how to manage. I might have a fiery temper and fly off at the handle at the smallest thing. Once I recognize that, see, if nobody ever tells me that, if that's never brought to my attention, then I cannot be about the business of managing that temper tantrum, that outburst, if I'm never made aware of it. And so we as friends, sometimes we placate one another because we don't want to offend them, when in fact you're helping them. You're making them, you're an enabler when you don't bring it to their attention, particularly if they are your friend. I don't want anybody who's a friend of mine to allow me. I see you, Travis. Bless you, sir. I don't want anyone who considers themselves a friend of mine to see me about to fall in a ditch. I'm walking along in life and there's a pit down there a few yards ahead of me. They know it's there, but they don't tell me. A friend would not allow that to happen. So what I'm saying to you again is not so I can condemn you or so that you condemn yourself. I'm saying it so that you can recognize it and then begin the work of managing it. Okay? Now, these certain things are so deeply embedded in our DNA, it's not going to be a one and done thing. It's not going to be, oh, it's gone. No. You're going to have to work at it. Just like anything else, you're going to have to do the work. But I promise you, you'll have a more fulfilled life. You'll have more happiness, more joy, more peace. Why? Because you are living your authentic life. You're not trying to please anyone. I'm not saying you shouldn't do anything for people. I'm simply saying you should not have a basic, innate need to please. There's again, hear what I'm saying. It should not be embedded that you're always going to have to be the floor mat for everybody else. When you always feel like you need to cower down to everybody else, then there's a disorder there. There's something out of kilter that needs to be addressed. When you know you have the right idea, you know you're qualified, you know you have the capabilities, but there's something in you that won't allow you to do anything for yourself. Here's a prime example, and I'll get back to this narcissism in just a moment. But if you live a lifestyle that says, I can help others, I get fulfillment out of helping others succeed, I love to see others succeed. I love helping. I sacrifice myself for others. And then when it's time for you to do something for yourself, you find it difficult. You almost feel a sense of guilt because you want to do something for yourself. Well, when you're dealing with a narcissist, they will make sure that you feel guilty, that you feel condemned for daring to want to do something for yourself. Take a vacation, change your hair color, or dress a different way for yourself because you want to. But a narcissist won't allow that to happen. But you have to deal with that same need to please. I have an inordinate, out of order need to please. Deal with that because you're going to be the one who's going to live a life of silent frustration, silent resentment. You're going to be so angry. And I'm talking to somebody right now that you're so angry with yourself. It comes out as though you're angry with others, but you're really angry with yourself because you allow people to continually take advantage of you. At some point, you're going to have to come to the realization that it's all right to do something for yourself. Even my wife and I, we fly all the time, but my wife even more so than I because she's got 1,000,000 miles. But I noticed something on the pre-flight announcement. The captain will come on the intercom and he announces his name and thank you for flying, whatever airlines you're flying. And during the course of the announcement, they will say, now in the event that we encounter turbulence to a certain degree and it causes pressure to go down in the cabin, a mask will drop down out of the ceiling in front of you. When that mask drops down in front of you, they say, take that mask, put it on yourself first, and then if you're traveling with a child, then help that child. Why do they say that? Isn't the child more important? Isn't it more admirable and more noble to assist the child first? No, because if you are delirious or disoriented, you can't help anyone. So it's important for you to appreciate the fact that you can do something to help yourself, to improve upon yourself. Don't take a dagger and stab it in your own heart, okay? It's all right. It's okay for you to want something for yourself. Okay, now I got a few seconds more I'm going to spend on this, but I wanted to finish this definition because we're going to spend this entire week talking about mental health, emotional health. Now, I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but I have taken time to study during my course. I told you I got a BS in biblical studies and pastoral counseling. So I have some level and 30 years of ministry. So I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Okay. And I've dealt with people for the last 30 years. So I have a little idea of what I'm talking about. All right. So check this out. So narcissism, because I'm about to say something that might be controversial, but many of you, not every one of you, but many of you deal with pastors and leaders with this narcissistic personality that would make you to believe that you can't succeed without them and that all of your energy should be used to help them and not yourself. Okay, narcissism. What is narcissistic personality disorder? Once again, and I'll finish with this. Narcissistic personality disorders involves a pattern of self-centered, arrogant thinking and behavior, a lack of empathy and consideration for other people, and an excessive, hear me what I say now, an excessive need for admiration. Have you ever met somebody that has an excessive need for admiration? They live and thrive. They must have the praise of the people because they're dealing with a narcissistic disorder. But they thrive on the admiration of others. Often describe people with NPD as cocky, manipulative, selfish, patronizing, and demanding. This way of thinking and behaving surfaces in every area of the narcissist life, from work to friendship, family, and love relationship. That's why I say, again, it permeates every aspect of your life. If you're in ministry, it'll affect your ministry. If you're in business, it will affect your business. If you're a parent, it will affect your parenting. If you're married, it will affect your marriage, because a narcissist has an insatiable need to be the center of attention. I don't care what you're going through. Take care of me. That's a disorder. And so once again, when you see this, you have to confront it, because you will never be able to change what you're not willing to confront. Now, I'm not saying that you combat. I'm saying confront. There's a difference. Okay? I'm not saying you become combative. I'm saying that you will never be able to change what you're not willing to confront. You cannot change what you will not confront. That's good. Sister Barbara, I see you there. Write that down for the people. You will not change what you're not willing to confront. You will not change. Please get this, because this is absolutely important. It's of primary importance for you to understand that if you will not confront it, you will never change it. And you will live a life. I'm not saying, again, it's not combat. I'm not telling you to combat it. I am saying confront. Now, I've come from a dysfunctional situation where I thought that, you have to wait till you get mad and angry and frustrated till your thermometer is built up to right there, and then you explode. But no, that's not the way. You deal with it when it comes up. That way, you're not dealing with it from a position of your emotional frustration. You're dealing with it from a position of knowledge, okay, of logic and rationale. I used to think, and I'm telling you, I've been reformed from that thinking, that I was so, what people would call passive aggressive. And I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't do anything until it reached fever pitch, when it's like I'm fed up and now I'm going to lash out. And then I destroy everything. I tear everything up. That's not the behavior you want to have. You want to be able to deal with the issues when it's appropriate to do so. You got to be in the right place in the right time, but don't wait until you're so frustrated and you're so emotionally wrapped up and tied up in a knot till now you lash out rather than confront. You combat rather than confront, okay? But you will never, there you go. Thank you, Sister Barbara. You will never change what you're not willing to confront. Okay, I'm done for today. I'm going to be back again all week long. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., right here, Facebook Live. We're going to delve a little deeper. We're going to do a deep dive into this, because every person, every one of us, nobody's perfect. No one is perfect. I don't care if you think you've met the perfect person. There's something wrong, right? Somewhere that's a little more down in the deeper surfaces of that individual. Because once again, when we meet, we always meet at a superficial level. We're always putting on a mask, so to speak. But what we're going to deal with this week requires you to take the mask off. And the good thing about it is, you're in your home, you're in the room, or maybe in your own office where no one else has to hear or see. And so we're going to deal with it one-on-one. I'm confronting you right now to help you so that we can all live our best lives right now. So the best time to do it is right now. Hey, Alec, bless you, sir. The best time to do it is right now, when you're locked up and you can't go anywhere. We're under a stay-at-home order. So while we're staying at home, let's deal with the issues of our lives. Let's deal with what's driving us or what's defeating us. Let's deal with it, combat it, and let's get on the other side. So when we come out of this COVID-19, remember, it's not going to be long. It's just going to pass. We're declaring that it's going to die an early death. We already said that it's already going. It's in the works. It's in the works. It's going to happen. So in the meantime, let's work on becoming the best version of who we are, our most authentic version, so that when we are released and we can leave out of our homes and places of business or wherever we're staying, we can leave out and we can come out better than when we went in. Okay? Remember, again, to join me tomorrow right here, Facebook Live, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yours truly, Michael Norman, with another YLM, and the YLM stands for Your Life Matters. That's why we have to deal with the matters of your life. So if you're ready, you're hungry for change, if you're sick of the same cycle in your life, you want to make significant change that's going to take your life to the next level, join me again tomorrow. And do me a favor, share, and then tag someone. All right, that's a feature. You can also help others. You don't have to. You don't have to tell them, hey, they're talking about you. You need to listen to them. No, just a friendly share. Just something I want to share with you. Tag them and let's join in together tomorrow. Okay, I love you. I appreciate you. This is Michael Norman reminding you, your destiny mentor, reminding you that your life matters. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. All right, bless you.